question. More importantly, you can also follow and understand the pattern of the question. But if you delay or postpone your work, like next time or maybe the other time, any time, so that means by that time you will forget what we have discussed. And only one boy responded to me. This is quite shocking. Nobody raised hand. This is one question. Exam is coming, and if you have not practiced, if you do not know, because now I am focusing more on question and answers practice. We have done already 3 chapters and this would be the most probably your schema, your study guide, and we have to fix everything in these chapters. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how can we do, like, if you don't follow, if you don't do your work? I gave you just one question, which we spent the whole lesson discussing, and then you were to immediately follow on that very day to answer that question, read book and the notes, and then do answer the question, and that is how you do your work. This is this is not good. I don't know any other way. If you know, like if you think that without doing homework or following the instructions, uh, like you think you can do, let me know. Like we are good, we can do it. So I keep teaching, right? So you will be doing question by yourself. Should I not ask you next time that, like, what's the work and how to do it, and tell me, hurry up.
Sir, we will do.
Or the other way then is that I should be talking to your parents directly, like to let them know, obviously, that this is the state of your your son, and this was the work given, and it is not done. See, boys, you are quite mature. Like you are in grade 8 to any standard at school level. This is the highest grades. Like you are just short of 2, 3, 4 years to graduate from the school. So what else you are waiting for? Right? I don't feel that I need to emphasize upon that this is important. By this level, you should, at this level, you should understand by yourself. Anyways, cutting it short, I need today everyone's work done and post it on the page which I have shared to you. Is it clear
Yes, sir.
to
Yes.
everyone?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you have understood what I said, that I need this work to be done today, because I gave you already a lot of time, no response. So I want this today. Raise your hand so I could see at the bottom who is still confused. So Hassan Abed, Muhammad Hassan Abed, you didn't understand. And Muhammad Kundi, you didn't understand. And Zian Kalim, what's with you? Like you are on a hold. Zayan Kalim.
Sir, he's in another call.
Why is he in a... Look, I don't know. Like, if you are another call, if you are not paying attention, what will you do? This is a big question. Anyways, I'll talk to him later. So, see your book, then notes, then answer the question. It was very simple. I've already discussed. I won't go in the detail now. I need the answer. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we move towards our next chapter now, and that is chapter number 4. Chapter 4. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. I hope you know the situation. We are talking of this if you can just visualize or imagine India 1958-59. This is post-war India. They have lost the war of independence. British were able to control them, the mutiny, what they called it, and now they appear to be the rulers. This was immediate impact of the war we discussed. Mughal ended, British Empire. They punished Indian heavily, severely, and they were in a very bad conditions. But more importantly, like in this, Muslims suffered the most. Muslim. There were reasons for this. Number one, that British knew that obviously Muslim were the rulers, and they replaced them. So such type of rebellion resistance would always come from them. They blame Muslim for the war as well, more than the others. And Muslim also kept a distance from the British because they were the one who opposed their reforms. Reforms, I hope you know, this was our question as well. Reforms British introduced from start of their rule in India, occupation from Bengal till the war of independence 1857. So during this period of time, the areas which were under British control, they introduced their reforms, mean their rules and laws, how to govern these areas at that point in time. So these reforms were resisted by the Muslims more than the other, and that resulted in the war. So they consider Muslims as the main, you know, cause of the war or behind the war. So they were punished. Cutting it short, that entire India, now under British control, became part of British Empire. Formerly Mughal ended, and Indians were in really bad condition, but in particular Muslim were in the worst condition. So that was situation in 1858-59 India. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now just visualize. It is also a very good exercise that we detach ourselves from our present, and if we are talking about any development in the history back in times, so we could just visualize and try to perceive situation first and then the development, because every development happens in a particular situation, which is basically a background of that. And if we know the background, if we know the situation, if we can associate with that, we can understand development, or maybe able to develop some sort of feeling or association with that, that okay, this happened. Otherwise you tell people there was a famine in Bengal under company rule from 64 to 74, 1764 to 1774, and millions of people died. What do they say? What do they say? Those who are listening to this,
When did it
nothing.
happen?
Nothing. They say nothing. They say nothing. They say, okay, millions of people died. Fine. What's the big deal, right? Do you understand my point? What I'm trying to say? Because people
Yes, sir.
are just reading this or listening this information from a distance. Do you understand the point?
Yes, sir. They
Yes,
don't know
sir.
the background.
They don't know the background, and they do not actually associate with those people. They, even if we say a million of people died, so they take it, okay, fine, what's the big deal? Because they do not see it from human perspective. They do not see that a million people is a big it's a big disaster. So they do not like. So what my point is that if you just detach and get back and visualize and be in the situation, so then those things make more sense, and maybe a sensitivity also be a result of that thing. But anyways, situation in India, it was total chaos. For Muslims, it was literal despair, hopelessness, the darkest, you can say, the time in India for them, because they came to India as a ruler and then they ruled India, and then Islam spread and many people converted to, and they had the privilege to be the part of a ruling community. It's, it's, it's a big privilege when you are living in a multi-communal society, in a multicultural society, and your community is ruling, so you have this special privilege. Do you understand this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now for them, after centuries, the whole scenario, the situation changed. Now British replaced them as a ruler, and this goes like this. This is very important to understand in the next lessons as well. That this was now a triangle in India: British ruler, Hindus, a majority community, and Muslims, previous rulers, and a sizable minority. Now, Hindus had this advantage now in the changed situation that they were in a majority. You need to understand this point. They were in majority, and British needed their support to govern India, because after the war, after this mutiny experience, they realized that if they will continue with these discriminatory policies in which they considered Indian inferior and all that stuff, that if they will continue, they will face more resistances, more mutinies, and British knew that they can't control India without the help of the Indian, and Hindus in this case was the had the advantage because they were in majority. So British quickly tried to seek their cooperation, and Hindus adjusted to this situation very quickly. So the relationship between British and Hindus developed soon after the war, in particular, and they adjusted to this situation. And moreover, for Hindus, this was not a big transition, because transition was for the Muslim, change was for the Muslim. They were the ruler, and now they were a minority in India, because Muslim didn't have even the advantage of a majority community. They were a minority in India, though it was a sizable minority, as I said, that their number were huge as compared to other communities in India. So here was a big question mark. The relationship between British and Muslim were strained. They punish also Muslim heavily compared to the others. So Muslim were in particular in a bad condition at this point in time. And our entire later on discussion, basically, which is Pakistan movement or freedom movement, which is obviously starting from 1858 and the end of war, and it will go to 1947 in particular. So this is our freedom movement or Pakistan movement. So here everything is happening in this triangle relationship, either between Hindus and Muslim, British and Hindus, or Hindus and British and Muslims. So this is whole triangle relationship would be the part of this discussion. If you understand this thing, you can very easily understand the other developments here as well, that what was happening actually. Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, please, everyone, say yes
Yes, sir.
once.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
7 yeses,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
8,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
9,
sir.
Yes, sir.
10, 11,
Yes, sir.
12. Anyone who is left? 18 are here. Anyways, okay, good. So you've understood the situation
Yes,
of
sir.
India, and you must have understood that this is what, like, now and in the future, this triangle relationship, and how did it move. So now in this period of time, here comes this person. Why we are talking about him? Why do we need to discuss Sir Syed Ahmed Khan? Now see, you have understood, was Muslim condition in India post-war condition was good or bad?
Sir, very bad.
It was the worst, you can say. Okay, now here, what was the way forward for Muslims? Like, look, they were now here. British took over as a ruler. Hindus and British adjusted quickly. And you know, Hindus and Muslims had a centuries long here resentment against the Muslims, Hindus. Why so? Why did Hindus have any resentment or hatred against the Muslims? Do you know why?
Sir, because they were in majority first.
No, they were in majority. Hindus were always in majority in India. But I'm saying that in the new situation, British became the ruler and Hindu adjusted with them. So this part is okay. Muslim, it was a big change. And was there any problem between Hindus and Muslim also?
Religion.
Yes, because Muslim ruled, no, apart from religion, Muslim ruled India prior to British, before British, and their main subjects were Hindus. So Hindus, obviously, even Sikhs, they had a great sort of hatred and resentment against the Muslims. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Of this
sir.
centuries rule,
Yes, sir.
this centuries rule, there was resentment. Anyways, now we bring the case of Muslim here in the middle, in the front. Muslims, post-war India, were in the worst condition. So what's the way forward? How could they overcome this darkest, deep, darkest moment of their lives in India? And how would they be able to adjust in the new situation and move forward? It was a big task, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
So at this point, this person, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, he appeared, and he actually was a kind of messiah, savior, who in the right moment, at the right time, guided Muslims. And even in his lifetime, he was able to change the whole situation upside down. By the end, when he had to say goodbye, he saw Muslims a thriving, competitive, active community. From this dark, deep, dark moment, he was able to change it into a very active, positive, prospering, you can say, community. Okay. Now, what did he do and how did he do? This is our topic of discussion. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And here you will also understand this history is not only reading about something and then wrote rhetoricization and writing in the exam. Here you will also learn that how one individual, how an individual, just one person can change the fate of the entire community. And sometimes when we say that, how can I make a difference? See here, how did Sir Syed uh, make a difference? Did you understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Okay.
sir.
Now, first of all, a brief intro of Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, and then we will see that what did he, first his intro, who was he, and then we see that how did he perceive the situation? How did he take this situation? How did he understand the situation? And then obviously, according to his understanding, he came up with a sort of solution, and he then did all that. We'll come to. So first of all, so Syed Ahmed Khan was born in Delhi, right? And he belonged to a very respectable, influential family, and he was highly educated person. And apart from that, he was born in 17. He was born in 1817, right? 1817, Delhi. So the capital, the main, and this was the most troubled time. You understand this time, and up to then you see 1857 the war happened. So he was in this most dramatic troubled time. He was growing up in India. So did you see this thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it was not a very settled time, prosper time, happy time, everything going fine, and you go through your life stages from childhood to teenage and young man, and then like that. So it was the most troubled time. You need to understand that he was not into a very favorable condition as well. Uh, at the age of 18, Sir Syed was skilled in Arabic, Persian, mathematics, medicine, and he was a great literary figure as well. So at a young age, he was able to actually. So he was too much into his studies. So here is a point that the first thing is that an individual, a student, needs to be good at studies, because you can't just change the whole world without changing yourself. Do you understand the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir. So he like got himself excellent status in studies and all that. So languages, different discipline, love for literature, and he was a prolific writer. He was a great writer who wrote many books, not just a writer who wrote many books. So you can see that he was a great scholar, a literary figure, a writer, and plus many more things what we're going to talk about. 1838 he started actually a job. 1838. So he seek employment, and he started at a very lower position. That was a clerical post he started with. But then with the passage of time, by 1846, he was a judge working in a legal system in Delhi. He was a judge over there. So this was his, what you call say, is professional growth and development. You can see that he was at this time, he was working as a judge. In the war, like in this war 1857, he was actually against the war. He was not, though he was working as a chief judge at this time, and he was working in Bijnor. So he was chief judge at this time. But he was against this war. And why was he against the war? You can understand that he in advance knew with his analysis that this war would bring more miseries, owing to the situation, because of the situation in India, the way they were divided and poorly led, and without any, and British had established themselves and many were loyal to them. So this will result in further chaos and difficulty. So he was not in favor of the war. So he was not a warrior in a way. Rather, he was with the British in the war in a way. He didn't fight from their side, but he did not support the war. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a very like a very brief, sketchy overview of his what we call life in a brief, but we will be talking about because what he did was also part of his life later on after the war. This was his very much a private life, as every other individual. He was great. He was great in studies. He was a literary figure, a writer, and doing a great job. So that's all. 1857 onward changed his life altogether. So from a private life, he entered into a public life. So that was a change for him as an individual as well. Up to this point, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now we quickly move to that. What did he believe in? Like, what did he believe? Do you remember we discussed this belief part also in the religious scholars as well, where we saw that the belief mean that how did they see the situation and what sort of solution they came up with. So here we see that his belief was that he was obviously worried about the condition of the Muslim, what they were in. He saw this whole, maximum of transition, end of Mughal rule and all that. So after seeing all this, and he was not in the favor of the war as well because he saw that Indian stand no chance in this war, so it will be further problem for them. And he also realized that Muslim in this war, because their role was like they had already a distance with the British, and with this war this distance further increased. So analyzing this situation he came up with, so that he said that Muslims should, now this is Sir Sayyid's overall, you can say, views or his beliefs. So he said that number one, that Muslims should be friend with British, so establish good relation. Relations with the British, and he advised them that they are the rulers now, rulers, and Muslim need to understand and accept this thing. That's very important. So they are rulers. This is reality. You need to accept. So you were rulers. Now you are a minority. So an individual or a community also need to understand that what is their current situation. Do you understand this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should, this was his primary, the most important point. Should, he said, should acquire, modern, this modern education, what was introduced by the British in India. So Muslim now should acquire modern education so that they can compete, because now compete with Hindus and compete with others and compete for their place in society. So you understand that British changed their policies after the war. We discussed this, and now they wanted to cooperate with the Indian, and they gave them. Now they were ready to share with them the power and the jobs and the rest of the things. And that was all dependent upon, because British introduced English as a medium of education and modern this education, their education system. If you've been through this, you will be able to qualify, otherwise not. So Sir Sayyid primary emphasis was acquire modern education, and this is such a visionary and fundamental principle that no individual, no community can have any way forward than to follow this one. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And this would not only guarantee that they will compete and they can then, the consequence of this would be that they would be able to uplift their social, political, economic, status. As I told you that Muslim were now like at the bottom of the society. They were a minority. Their situation changed, and now for them to have any respectable place, this is mean a respectable place, socio-political economic status. If they want this thing, how could they have this thing? They will have to go through the education and then compete and then qualify for all of these areas and improve their lives. So this is what was his point. And he also advised Muslim early at this post-war that they should first concentrate on education and socio-economic political upgradation, and later on they can take part in politics. So he advised Muslims not to be part of Hindu politics. And what was Hindu be part of Hindus political activities? And what was that? Obviously among Hindu, a major community, and there were many nationalists who wanted to overthrow the British. So you just don't take it that everyone from Hindus community accepted British and established relationship. This was that moderate class, middle class, that did it. But there were nationalists too who wanted to overthrow British, and there were political activities side by side, also resistances, minor one. So he advised them, don't be part of any of the Hindus political activities and other activities. Just focus on education, compete with them in these areas, uplift your standard of life in India, establish relationship with the British. This is your way forward. So this was his this views, belief, and this became his program as well for the uplift of the Muslims. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So to sum it up, I'll because we are about to end. So to sum it up, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan focused in the first place to establish relationship. This we'll continue talking about that. What did he do? He didn't just express his views. He actually practically worked. So we'll see that what did he do in improving relationship and what was the result of that. Then education, he didn't tell them only that get education, but we'll see what did he do actually getting Muslim education and what was the result and consequential change of this. So this remained mainly his area. In political and other areas, he was also active with passage of time. And mashallah, he had a good life that he 1898 when he died, he actually had a great impact on all of these things. So from 1858 to 1898, he dedicated entire life for the cause of the Muslims, his life, and he was very influential. We'll keep talking about these things. So please, before the next class, but I would say by today finish your work, and before the next class, you should go through reading from the book about this chapter. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have already shared the notes of the chapter 4 and 5 as well. You can check files in history channel and notes are there. So go through those notes as well. So all this, take care. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah
Allah
Hafiz,
Hafiz,
sir.
sir.
Allah
Allah
Hafiz everyone.
Hafiz, sir.
Take care. Allah, Allah Hafiz.